Good morning, this is Joel, live from Fort Myers Beach. Mosquito control. Had it really been a year since the hurricane, I'd rebuilt almost every part on that car. I wanted an engine rebuild, and for my sins, eBay gave me one. I ordered it up like room service. Okay, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, this video is going to be about $1,000. Okay, so the plan is going to be first bumper, then the nose, then the hood, and then get into the engine. Luckily for me, I fixed pretty much the rest of the car, so I think what I can do is just take everything apart in sequence, and I've got a whole van to store my extra parts in, take them back to my place so that I don't clog up this garage, because this is not that big of a garage. Fix the engine and it should be a car again. Let's get to it. This is it. At least the hood shocks still work. Gotta see the glass half full, so yeah, it's already pulled off some stuff, but gonna get into it today. Once you've taken these things apart, 3 or 4 times, it's the same thing over and over, it's the same processes, so wish me luck. Okay, so I'm doing pretty good. Got the engine stripped down mostly to the block. I've got this balance shaft bearing off, but this one here I'm going to leave on for now. And I've got everything cleared off the front of the car. So the plan now is to get this car turned around. Simple as that. Okay, so it is Saturday night and I'm spending some quality time with my girlfriend, at least parts of her. So what I'm doing now is cleaning up the engine. I got the case here in my kitchen, and I'm basically just was doing a preliminary cleaning with transmission fluid to get a look at these surfaces and get a general gist of the block. You can see I've got a little corrosion in here still, but that's mostly just color. It's not deep at all. So all in all, it's in pretty decent condition. I've got the bores are pretty nice, and this surface, all this stuff is all in good condition. I just had to carefully clean the gasket off. My balance shaft, this is the one that I redid after the hurricane, and I used the blue RTV, and this stuff stuck really good. Like just on the end of this stud here, I got a little bit in there, and I had to get a screwdriver out to scrape this RTV off of this stud. It was stuck so darn good. So I might use that blue stuff again. That was what was available after the hurricane. So okay, I got my lifters out here, and they're all in pretty decent condition. So those are going right back in the way they came. I'm doing the 86 cam this time instead of the 84 cam that I was running before. So I got this guy, and okay, here we got some Pistons that I got off eBay. These are 10.2 to 1. So that's that. Basically just, oh, the head. The head's going to get taken apart. So that's probably something I'm going to end up maybe doing tomorrow. So there's the head. Okay, so today I'm cleaning up this engine block so I can take it over to Russ at European Autocraft Studios so he can hit it with the blaster. And I want to have most of the work done so that he doesn't have to deal with all of this, you know, gunk here around the where the air oil separator was. And so I've got Dawn, which is the best degreaser, and I'm kind of washing it down with Purple Power here. And I've got my electric toothbrush, just in case any of you kids out there are thinking about running your car without an air filter. This is all the junk that has built up on this engine over the past, you know, however many years. And you can see that it sits on the top of the engine here. This is the top side, which is way more gunked up. But, you know, nobody ever, like, you know, empties out a dustpan on the you know, the top of their engine. But all this gunk mixed with oil over time just builds up, you know, and so you want to keep that stuff out of your engine. That's why we always want a good air filter and stuff. But I'm not going to get into which the best air filter is right now. But yeah, so this is working real good. I'm getting this stuff cleaned out of there, and this toothbrush is working great. And you know, yeah, I can still brush my teeth with it. It's no big deal. You can use my toothbrush anytime. Okay, so this part is called The Advantages of Being a Bachelor, because no woman would put up with this. Okay, so I am now taking apart the cylinder head, and I've had to buy a cheap Harbor Freight clamp because I can't find my other one. What I ended up doing was I took the thing off the end here, and I just have this running into some folded up business cards. And so what that does is it sits in the center of the valve, and the cardboard kind of holds it in place once you get it under tension, and you can get that centered right on the valve, and that helps hold that in place while you deal with this side, which wants to come all around on you and move around. Okay, good morning. I am heading down to European Autocraft Studios down in Naples. I'm going to be cleaning up some parts. My friend Russ down there, he's got a water jet type cleaning thing of some sort. So we're going to hang out with him for a little while and pick his brain for information, because he really knows his stuff. Basically at this point I've got the whole engines apart, and I'm dry fitting components, things like that. Hopefully I'm going to be getting the valves lapped up and get that cylinder head back together while I wait for my bearings to come in. Okay, so this is the tail of two valves. This one here, I don't have the spring installed yet, but you can see it's got considerable gap underneath there. This lifter is just being pushed down by my thumb. This one here is the one that's solid, and you can see as I squeeze this together, see how that valve comes up a little bit. There's a tiny little gap. It's kind of hard to see. There's a tiny little gap that opens up. Now this isn't bolted together, of course, but if it was, until that lifter unlocked itself, you'd have a compression leak right there. Okay, so I've got my lifters all dry fitted and prepped. Well, they're not exactly dry. There's lube on them and stuff, but I just wanted to dry fit everything just to make sure that everything was working smooth. All my lifters were ready to go, the right amount of pressure in them. Okay, so if anybody wants to know what tools you need to work on a Porsche 944 and take it all apart down to its engine, the answer is all of them. You need a bunch of different stuff, but I'm just going to go through a lot of the stuff that I use specifically for this engine rebuild. Obviously, I've got a lot of handles, and I'll keep the 13 on this one. This is the 17. I always keep a 10 on this guy down here. I've got my bicycle torque wrench, which I love. That's a good thing to have when you're just dealing with smaller bolts. It's a lot easier just to make sure, and you're probably not going to break something with this because it's kind of dainty, you know, in your hand. Then I got regular torque wrench, and then I've got my digital torque wrench for the bigger stuff. I've got driven assembly lube for, this is what I used on the bearings. I've got AARP, that's what's in here, the assembly lube for things that need to be torqued. Got some Permaseal here, a little bit of that. I've got, this is for my cams, or cam, this is a special cam lube for hydraulic lifters. Got the Loctite 57.4 for various things on the engine case. I'm doing anti-seize on everything that is big. All the suspension bolts, all that stuff's getting anti-seize on there, and this is a good way to do it with the spray, because it allows you to kind of just have a towel, and then you just put the bolt on the towel, spray it, and then you just grab it and you put it in, and it doesn't make a mess. The motor honey I'm using various places, like if I've got a seal, I goop it with the motor honey. I've also got some motor honey in here. This is some Lucas oil that I use in some other areas for other reasons. Blue gasket maker, red gasket maker, fingernail polish for marking things. This is the key, acetone, because when you're doing all these gaskets and stuff, you want to really get the surface of everything super clean. And this is a garage. This is not a, you know, hospital. So I do what I can. Penetrating oil, the good stuff. Top towel. So this guy I use for my crank bolt. So that always stays on there so I can walk the crank around. This is a magnet on my 6. So that's a 6 that I custom made where I cut the ball end off. That's for the cam assembly. Magnifying glass, in case I can't see something. These vice grips are great for pinching off the fuel line. In this case, everything's been removed. The flexi guys are good for hose clamps. Here's some thread locker. This white bottle is thread sealant, actually. What else we got going here? This is a familiar tool for anybody who's worked on 944s. For your sprockets and various things like that. All different kinds of those. Don't need a lot of explanation there. A lot of Harbor Freight stuff, other stuff. taking off every single part on this thing. My coolant's already getting a little excited. I better put the cap back on that. I gotta drain some out.